Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Pat Flynn. Thanks for being on the show, Pat.
Absolutely, Whitney. Thanks for having me.
No, it's great to have you on the show, Pat. And before we jump into why Pat is so amazing in his company and what he's doing, I would like for you to go to Life Bridge Capital, go to the Contact Us page, and fill in the information out there so I can connect with you personally, and we'll set up a phone call so I can help you any way I can. But I hope you're sharing the show. Hope you're enjoying it. If you have any feedback, I welcome that. You can email me, Whitney at lifebridgecapital.com, or you can leave questions in the Facebook group as well, the Real Estate Syndication Show, so we can ask those questions on the show to all these amazing guests. So I hope you're enjoying it, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. But right now, we're going to get into Pat Flynn. And Pat is the Vice President of Yellowbird Home Buyers, directly managing and overseeing property acquisitions and direct marketing. He's commissioned as an early – how do you say that?
What? How do I say what?
You were commissioned as an
ensign?
Ensign. And
yeah.
What is a USNR?
U.S. Navy Reserve.
U.S. Navy Reserve. Okay, that's the branch I wasn't sure about. And the reserve, U.S. Navy Reserve. Yeah. And sailed in the U.S. Merchant Marine Fleet for 7 years, traveling the world. Well, thank you for your service. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
Started his real estate career in 2017, purchasing over 100 homes during his first year. And we're going to talk about how he did that and what caused that to happen. So, Pat, give the listeners a little more about who you are and your focus.
Sure. So I went to school at a small military school called the United States Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point. Another alumni there is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So that's what kind of planted the bug in my head. He spoke when I was a senior. He got up and spoke and just about his story and the different way to look at money, whether his big thing is have your money work for you. Read the book. If you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, is an absolute must read. But he spoke my senior year, planted the bug in my head. I went out in the Merchant Marine just because that's what everyone said to do. Sailed for 7 years, but always had that seed planted in the back of my head. So I started buying some rental properties where I live in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Then at one point, my girlfriend got pregnant. I couldn't leave. We didn't have any family where I was, so I couldn't leave and go out to sea anymore. I was out to sea 8 or so months a year. I had to come home full time, so that kind of forced me to jump in head first and get into the real estate thing full time.
Wow. So I know before the show, you and I talked about, how you got to that 100 properties during the first year. And we were going to talk about, what caused that to happen and how that could help a lot of other people that are getting started in this space.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to elaborate just a little bit or what you can.
So the main message, me and Whitney were talking before the show, the main message I wanted to get out there is I didn't just jump into the space out of nowhere and immediately do 100 deals my first year. That's unrealistic. What happened was I had been reading and learning for 5 years prior, buying rental properties, getting to learn the game, networking with people, saving up money. So when I did make the jump into real estate full time, I had a pretty solid foundation of what to do. So I had all the book knowledge, none of the practical knowledge besides, buying a few rental properties. The game changer for me getting started was something I was too proud to do when I first got started, 7 years ago, was networking. I thought if I could, read all the books and become an expert myself, that's, I'm naturally an introverted person. I like doing things on my own. So I didn't go to any networking events or anything like that. And that's the biggest thing that slowed my growth in the beginning. Once I started networking, that's when things really took off for me. So I was doing a little wholesaling on my own, and just through networking and telling everyone in the community what I was trying to do, starting to go to events. That's how I met my now business partner, who has a ton more experience than me. Him and his partners had more capital than I did, but with me being a person kind of new to the game that was full of energy of going out and finding deals, and I just needed some direction, I was the perfect fit for them, who are seasoned and have the capital and have the know-how. So it was just a great fit right off the bat. They gave me some direction on where to spend my marketing dollars and some direction on where to look for these deals. And I was just off to the races, because every deal I did was with them. They took most of the profit, of course. I took a small piece of it, but the knowledge that I learned in that first year, I did 100 deals my first year. That's how I did it, was taking a small piece, letting the seasoned people deal with the construction and kind of show me through that part of it. So my whole focus was on finding deals. I wasn't finding a deal and then meeting contractors out at the house and then, pushing through it and listing it on the MLS and taking those phone calls. I was solely focused on acquisitions, because acquisitions is where the money's made. So that's how I was able to do 100 in my first year. And that's how anyone getting started, I would suggest they do. Whenever I meet with investors, I always say network is the number one thing. Find someone in your game. You guys are in the syndication space. Find somebody that's killing it in the syndication space and see how you can add value to them for free. That's what launched me to the next level. And I think it's the same with any business.
I can't, the timing of you saying all this is perfect. So I get calls every week. Numerous times a week, people asking how to get started, right? How do I get started? How do I get into this business? And, I ask a little bit about their situation, their background, whatnot. And it's so similar to what you did here, but I'll tell people, especially if you're not married, no kids, find that person who's doing what you want to do. They're operating at a high level, offer to work for free, work for a year for free, work a part-time job at night, weekends, if you have to, work for free. And by the end of that year, you are going to be so far ahead. I can't stress that enough. I wish I could have known that, or somebody would push me to have done that, many years ago. Right. And so I appreciate you elaborating on how that helped you and finding that partner. And even though you had to give a cut, it's so worth it. Right. To have grown.
I'll add to your working for free part of it, because that's what I did for my first probably 6 months with them. We didn't even have an established, plan of what we were going to do. I was just feeding them deals. So natural human instinct, the reciprocity rule, as you're working for free and as you're having success, you're gaining leverage over these people that are killing it in your space. And that's 100% how I was able to get where I'm at now. Is I just wasn't worried about the short-term money, because I had long-term on my mind. So use the reciprocity rule and work your ass off for someone to where they're like, God, we can't lose this guy. Let's put more time and money into him. And then that's where it really starts to pay off. Is don't nickel and dime over one or two deals, when you gotta have big picture in mind when it comes to working for free. And that's why
you got the next 20 years or 30 years to do this, right? Don't worry about the next one or two deals. That's exactly right. I couldn't have said it better myself. And something else that happened though, when you partnered, you talked about, you were focused on acquisitions, right? So you didn't have to focus on the entire operations all at once, right? You could just nail down and be really good at this, at acquisitions and networking and making this happen. And you didn't have to really get into all the day-to-day things in the operations on the back end. Is that right?
That's exactly right. All that stuff is important. Mm-hmm. And it's important that it's done smoothly and the same every time, but it's the same in apartment syndication. The money's in the buy. If you're not buying right, as long as you're buying right, you can screw up construction and still be okay. It's all about the buy, at least in single family. That is the most important thing. So yeah, and my partner set me on the right track to, not get me in the weeds of construction or any of the stuff. All that stuff needs to be done, but it's not high profit stuff. the money is made in the buy. So that's being able to focus on that was huge in growth.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate you elaborating on just how the partnership happened and what you did to, to get into that team, right? I mean, to offer to work for free and to add value, right? And you're adding value. You've increased their acquisition numbers. They'd be crazy not to bring you on.
Right. And
Right.
a cool thing we're doing now is we had the idea to give everyone this, because when I was getting started, it gives you confidence to walk into a house and know that you have money behind you, to where you can close on this if you need to. It's just the way you talk to the seller is different. So what we're doing now is we have these connect events each month where it's like a meetup. It's the whole purpose of them is to give everyone the same opportunity that I had. So anyone that's willing to go out and work their ass off, we'll tell you what to do. We'll fund everything, and we'll partner with 100% of it with you. And it's such a powerful thing. And to be honest, I'm surprised at how few people have taken advantage of it. But we're trying to give everyone that same opportunity. And I'm sure you would do the same thing. If you have someone that's killing it, bringing you deals, I mean, why would you
include them? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That is right. So yeah, great. Yeah, great point. That's awesome. And I'd love for you to talk about your all's marketing aspect a little bit and what you're doing to, to acquire or to find properties. I'm sure there's things that you're doing that we can, apply probably in our business as well. Are you all doing online stuff? Are you, doing thought leadership? Are you doing direct mail? Are you doing, what's working for you all and what does that look like in your all's business?
So we're doing nothing that's a secret. We're doing all the basic stuff that everyone does. I think it all works. Postcards, we really slowed down on. When I was first getting started 3 years ago, it costs us about $2,000 per contract on a postcard. So to find a deal, it was $2,000 worth of postcards. Over the past 6 months, it's increased to between $8,000 and $9,000 for a postcard deal. So we very much slowed down that. But there's no secret to our marketing. It's probate, Liz Pendants, inheritance. They're getting direct mail from us. We slowed down Google ads just because it didn't make sense for us to compete with Open Door and Homevestors. The return just wasn't there, so we slowed that down. So as far as direct to seller marketing, nothing really of interest there. We're doing a little bit of everything. Everything's kind of returning, normally. Nothing high, nothing low. The interesting thing we've been doing lately is this big thought leadership marketing push we've had, in that we have our monthly meetup every month, which has a lot of wholesalers, new investors. That's a lot of time and energy to run it each month, but we do a great professional job doing it. So we have deals from that. Another thing we're doing to find deals that's interesting that I'm really proud of is our Facebook group. So we have a private local Facebook group. It's localized here, but people from all over the country are in it. And people post deals, people post questions, and we try to add value, and it's not spammy or anything. It's really good. So if you're that's something I would highly suggest to anyone in different markets, whether it's the syndication space or anything, is a private Facebook group has no spam, and people can really just bounce ideas off each other and post deals. That's been a huge return. Some of our most recent deals came from real estate agents, and that just comes from networking, adding value on the Facebook page, adding value in our meetup event. So it's kind of like you just have a bunch of lines in the water, and every once in a while something will click. It's hard to measure your return on, we're really active on video, we're active on podcasts now. It's hard to measure your return on that stuff, but the more you do, it increases your presence. It increases just this podcast we're doing right now. Someone from California may hear me talk on here, and they're like, "Oh, I've always wanted to invest in Jacksonville." Now that's a new relationship that who knows what comes from that. So a lot of those thought leadership we've been doing, and let me know if you have the same idea behind this, Whitney, is it's hard to measure exactly what comes from it, but we know it's the right thing to do. But I'm just not sure.
I get asked every week, I mean, numerous times a week, has it been worth it? like to do a podcast. It, has it been worth it? And you can't put a dollar amount on it, but I can
No.
tell you it has given me so many connections to people that otherwise I would have never had. I would have never met you, Pat, if it
Right.
wasn't for this podcast, so,
Right.
but you can do other things too. It could be a meetup, or it could be a blog even, or it could be, a YouTube, a YouTube channel where you're interviewing people, or things like that can also be thought leadership platforms that will
Mhm.
kind of do the same thing if you're not into podcasting. But either way, I encourage people to have some type of thought leadership. But, what about just of course, I was in the military as well, and I relate a lot of the mindset that I have, just like driving through, and I've got so many examples, even as far, as like as boot camp, to where, it's helped me to get through things now, to keep pushing, keep driving forward. And I'd love for you to elaborate on just your mindset of getting started and, failures or rejections and things like that.
So if you had asked me that question 6 months ago, I would have had a very different answer. What I attribute it to now is a word, grit. Have you heard I think her name's Angela I forgot the name, but she wrote a book. She also has a TED Talk. It's grit is the persistence to push through to a goal, even when things get bad, even when things seem dismal. That persistence and mental toughness to push through is what it is. And I agree with you. The military helps a ton on that. But that's what it is having that mental toughness. That's what separates the people, at least in the single family space. I'm sure it's syndication too. That's what separates the people that are successful and aren't. I get lunch with probably 7 or 8 new wholesalers a month that are looking to get into the game. Probably less than 5% are successful. What usually happens is they'll start sending me deals. They'll start sending me stuff off not deals. They'll start sending me stuff off Craigslist, stuff off Zillow that I'm seeing already from 5 different people. And when I say no to everything they send, they get discouraged after they send me 50 deals, and then I just never hear from them again. But they don't understand having the big picture to know that, how many deals I have to look at to find one? Hundreds and hundreds. It's not like you look at 50 deals and you haven't made 20 grand on a flip, so you get discouraged and walk away from the whole business. It's having that grit, that resilience, that mental toughness to push through when things don't go so well. Even today, doing 25 or 30, 20 to 35 houses a month. I mean, we lose on houses all the time. We have weeks that we don't buy anything. We have weeks that we just buy crap. This business ebbs and flows. You have to have that mental toughness to push through when times are good or bad, and that unwavering faith that everything is, if you set your mind to it, that have the confidence and unwavering faith that you will reach the goals you want. That's what separates people, as I would say, grit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And what is it, during that time of when it is so tough, or when it's down, right, and things are so tough, what are you like telling yourself then? What are you reminding yourself of? How are you keeping your mind in check? That okay, I've got faith to keep going forward and doing this.
For me, that's an interesting question. I haven't had anyone ask me that before. For me, I'm very driven in that when someone tells me, when I hear no on the phone, it really doesn't affect me very much. Of course, I get down some days and I'm like, God damn it. Like, why are we even why am I even doing, those thoughts come into your mind on weeks where it's rough and you think you'll never find another deal. What gets me through it is just, I have my daughter now, and that's, really all I care about is providing for her, providing for my family, and having those negative thoughts, trying to think of exactly how I push through it, but I just don't let them affect me. You have control. You have full control over how you react to things. I don't get emotional about it. I think it's that emotional intelligence has come through knowledge and reading, because I used to be, when I worked offshore on drilling rigs, I was a hothead like everyone else out there. Get pissed off if something didn't go your way. But if you get that emotional intelligence to not react emotionally to everything that happens, and you know why you're doing everything, which for me, it's my daughter, you can push through those, and it kind of doesn't affect you anymore if you know that it doesn't really matter. All that matters is the end goal. So I would say, to long answer to your question, I would say it's knowledge and reading mindset books, reading philosophy books about how to react to things in life, and just reacting the right way would be my answer to that one.
Great. No, it's a good answer. I appreciate you elaborating a little bit, but yeah, having full control over how you react to things. I mean, 'cause you can't please everybody, right? You can't
No
please
way.
everybody. It's going to happen. I mean, it's emotionally intelligent. And I liked how you said all that matters is the end goal, and really keeping that in mind. And obviously when you have a child, things change, right? Or, how you perceive things and see things in the future. But so, what would you say as far as, whether it's in a partnership or finding the right partner or scaling now or, but something that the hardest part of this business or the real estate business, what has that been for you?
I think the toughest part has been that grit piece, because in the single family space, there's always a lot of competition, and it's always a cutthroat game to find deals. So it's tough when you're first getting started, and you fail over and over again. You go through weed through a bunch of stuff, and you finally find a deal, right? And you go and you're bidding, and they're also talking to other people. So you think you have them, you think you have a great rapport, and then they sell to someone else, and it's those. That's the toughest part, is going through the failure and having stuff, or stuff you think's under contract that you think's going to close, fall out last second. And that's the toughest part to me, is having that mental toughness to push through and just keep going. That's why most people end up dropping out or failing, is because, they're like, this doesn't work. This is too hard. Or they don't understand how much failure it takes to have success. That's the hardest part, is keeping your head right during the beginning, and not and keeping that unwavering faith that it will work out. For me, that was the toughest part.
You said they don't understand how much failure it takes to have success. I love that. Is there a great book that you would recommend that maybe that you've read recently as far as around the mindset?
My favorite one recently that I've been talking about a lot is the Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I like it because it was a quick, easy read, and it makes so much sense, and it gives you a lot of perspective about doing the little things each day, and how the little things grow and compound. And it has so many. It's the same as, like, he talks about flossing your teeth somewhere in the book, and how compounding flossing your teeth over the time, how that changes things. And it's the same as, like, buying rentals. I remember I bought my first rental at the beach. I overpaid for it, probably by, $50,000 or so, because I wasn't networking with people. So I bought a rental at the beach, overpaid for it. It was a pain in the butt to get the loan, 20% down, conventional mortgage. Me and my girlfriend at the time were in there working every day, sweating, painting walls, doing flooring. I had no idea what I was doing. Spent a bunch of money, wasted a bunch of money, had contractors screw me over. It was just such a pain. And it finally got done, and it finally got rented. And I felt like my child was going out into the world as that house got rented. And it made $150 a month. Right? It's like nothing. All this work, $240,000 mortgage, and all this time and effort into this house that's now making $150 a month. And I'm like, God. But buy another one, and that's $300 a month. Buy another one, and another one, and another one, and that compounds to the point where you have more money than you could ever want. Now we're at 60 something rentals, and that compounding of $150, $200 a month, all the appreciation, depreciation, that stuff compounds to where it's you could never imagine. But it's hard to see when all that work on the first one to make extra $150 a month. So that's why I really like that book, is puts stuff in perspective and talks about compounding, which is crucial in this business.
What's a way that you've recently improved your business that we could apply to ours?
Focus. So I'd say focus is it's always been our strength. But even recently with the marketing stuff, I was marketing. We were doing all sorts of stuff. I had a call center going, and leads from the call center list would come in every day, and I didn't have the right back end systems in place to deal with them. So what we decided to do was scratch the call center, scratch these other marketing forms that aren't really working that well, and let's focus on something that works. Let's get it the right way to where, like the call center, like where it shouldn't be where I have to go through I don't have time to make another 40 phone calls a day. So before we put the call center back into place, let's make sure we have the back end stuff set up. So focusing on one thing at a time. Every business is going to have a ton of issues. Every business does. The mistake I used to make was try to fix everything at once with stupid little tweaks, and it ended up being nothing. It didn't really do anything. I'd go right back to the way I always did things. My new approach has been take one issue, focus on that issue till it's solved, then move on to the next one. That's really helped me a lot. And it's like I had that call center going. It was almost like mental cloudiness. I couldn't focus on another thing because I knew all this stuff was going on with the call center. So you eliminate that, and you can focus on one thing and you have clarity. So that's something I implemented, is focus on one issue at a time, solve it, then move on.
I like that. And, we're about out of time, but I like to ask every guest is, yes, it does go by quick. How do you like to give back?
What we do is, our main give back is through Connect. So, we used to do a charity each month and ask people. Connect's completely free, our meetup event. So we'd ask people to donate if they wanted to this charity. That's what we used to do. In the end, we decided to scrap that because it kind of ruined the effect, I think, of the meetup. Yes, it's free, but we're still asking for money. So now what we're doing are we give back to different organizations through using our marketing team to help them make a video, or like, what are we doing, Cody, with isn't the kickball event, like, that's donate. So we're having, rather than donate at each meetup, we're having a big like charity kickball tournament. We found that is better than like asking for money at each Connect. So it's always the theme. Giving back's one of our values. It's always a theme of what we do. I think it's important to do it the right way. Make sure you care about it, and make sure it's not just for lip service to make yourself look good. So that's what we try to do. We try to do it the right way, and to organizations that really need it. And what we're doing now is a charity kickball event. That's been the main focus.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that and how you all are giving back. And anyway, great show, Pat. And I know that your story is going to help lots of people who, whether in the syndication business, it doesn't matter what kind of business, but having the grit, I can relate to that so much. And military really helped me, really helped my mindset, right? And just having that, what I'm moving forward, no matter what's in my way, pretty much, and being able to just think like that. But you even talking about how you reading, learning, networking for 5 years to prepare yourself, so when you approach that partnership, that you're ready to add a lot of value, and how you work for free for a good while and adding value, and then what they're bringing you on, and now look at you, so appreciate you sharing that. I know so many that are listening can relate to that as well. And then, but most importantly, tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. So I'm super active on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and it's very easy to find me on all that. If you search Yellowbird, we've had a huge social media push recently, and we react really quickly. Our Facebook group is called Real Estate Investors Yellowbird Connect. So you can search that on Facebook and join the group, and it's got so much good stuff in it. Obviously, everything's free. We have documents in there. People post little mindset blogs. It's really good. People post deals. So, and we always comment, and you can reach out to us directly through that.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by Life Bridge Capital. Life Bridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. Life Bridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.